trying to make this nice and quiet since somebody's in my bed right now, and trying to not disturb her in any sort of a way. I don't want to get her all excited about the fact that I'm actually doing a sort of like a reply video anyway. So I'm just going to kind of wing this a little bit and hope that I'm clear enough and audible enough to where I can get my point across. And I guess this will be good training for me too, because typically when I speak in normal tone of voice, I do tend to go off on the deep end sometimes, and I'll get all rantastic, and y'all know how I do. So this is going to be kind of like both a lesson in experimentation, I guess, and also a call out to Mr. Gay Fabulous I'm Every Woman, who's still trying to make himself out to like he's the poor put upon innocent victim that everybody's out to get him. And I kind of knew I was asking for trouble when oops, looks like somebody's getting roused up. I better keep it down just a little bit, turn the light out too. But yeah, I kind of knew I was asking for trouble when I did something I've never done in my entire history on GoogleTube, at least as far as Mr. Every Woman Tammy, such a gay whore, decided that she wanted to be a thorn in everybody's side. I, for the very first time, decided to comment on something just to let him know that not everybody's buying his BS. And of course, as I expressed in my last upload, thankfully more and more people are really starting to see the light with this clown, and they're really beginning to see what a histrionic, whiny crybaby he is, and what a starved attention whore, crazy nutbag he really is, who clearly doesn't have a job. I said it. If whatever money he's got, he's living off of somebody's dole, some kind of inheritance, or he's got some kind of a trust fund or something. Because, come on, you can't tell me that nobody... It's not possible unless you're already sitting on a sack of cash, or you've got somebody taking care of your daily needs. Are you going to have your little setup like that and just have channel on top of channel on top of channel and visit them all and be active on every single one of them, and going to have a web page and Facebook and supposedly a Twitter account, which he supposedly has all these followers on, which I haven't seen any of them. I haven't seen any activity or interactions on that so-called website of his, Your World, My Vagina, or whatever the heck the thing is called. It's the guy's just starved for attention. I don't know, was he beaten to a pulp by a vicious, sadistic from what I understand from people who have had dealings with him, or at least a couple of people have had dealings with him, supposedly both of his parents are pastors. And you know, if you've asked me, that's your answer right there. I mean, you know, sure, of course the guy's going to be a total nutcase if that's going to be the situation. You know, it's bad enough to have a pastor for one parent, and he's going to claim that both of his parents are pastors. So, you know, yeah, a double dose of crazy if you ask me. And I'm saying that as somebody who actually is a Bible believer. So that kind of lets you know how I tend to look at things a little bit more objectively than most people as far as things like that go. And I know for a fact that typically children who have pastors or ministers or whatever for parents, they tend to be, let's say, not complete in the mental and the security department, the self-esteem department. They walk around with this. They have a certain. How am I trying to say this? It's like they have this self-stigma about themselves, or they feel that they just don't fit in, or that they're always in this position where they have to prove themselves as being something other than the pastor's kid. You know, and Tammy's got a double dose of this, so. That, I'm sure, partially explains it. But again, like I said, somebody's paying this guy's way. And I guess they would have to, seeing that he's convicted felon, I understand, or that he has some sort of a conviction against himself where he did some jail time. And typically, when you have a jail record, not a lot of people want to hire you, especially when you have no skills, which I'm quite sure Tammy doesn't have maybe even the slightest bit of skill. Okay, yeah, I'm taking swipes. You know what? It feels good to take swipes at this Negro. You know why? Because of the way he interacts with everybody else on this whole, this making himself seem like he's so important. And if you ever notice that the people he always goes after, it's always people who've actually has some establishment of their own, who has a massive following of their own, and he's trying to suck up off of some of that. And so he comes up with these persecution complexes, talking about how these people who didn't know him from Adam's house cat suddenly just started coming after him and started ripping into him and telling everybody go flag him and get these accounts flagged down and get these black bitches flagged. And I'm sorry, I forgot about my volume. I told you before, warrant time, I do have a difficult time controlling myself sometimes. So like I said, this is going to be a new challenge for me. But this is really getting to the point where, like I said, I really didn't want to get into this beef, but I just couldn't help seeing who this freakazoid was, how he just tries to play and game the system, and how he gets so many people to just sniff up his crack, and having them believe that all this whining and crying that he's doing is actually because he's being persecuted for supposedly telling the truth. And I'll grant you this. I mean, a lot of the stuff that brings out, I'm not going to... Oops. I'm sorry. I'm going to have to bleep that out because I don't want to use her name, her actual name, because, that's how they get you, so to speak. But, lost my train of thought. Not that it matters really, because the simple fact is that we've seen this person in action. We've seen how he goes after prominent, well-established tubers who have been around for a long time, way longer than before anybody ever heard of this freak's behind. And suddenly, it just got this God complex, as though it's the most important thing on the face of planet Earth, and you have to bow down and kowtow and believe everything I say and follow my directions and just smooch up on my ass. And as soon as you disagree, well, if you're a black woman, then you're an ugly black bitch, gorilla-faced monkey. And, coming from the same guy who's always crying and hollering, complaining about how dark-skinned black people are constantly pissed upon and shit upon because of these light-skinned and these mixed races and these mulattoes. And yet he's the very first one to call his sisters black bitches, ugly black bitches. And y'all still follow that? Y'all still want to give this guy some kind of ups and snaps and creds? Really? How do you do that when he just exposes himself day and night? And and so this is why I'm kind of getting in on this thing, just to point out the fact that, look, after all these months of him riding everybody's ass and trying to get everybody to, getting all his little mindless followers to flag these prominent people and get them shut down and all this, I finally just kind of like reached a breaking point, and I just started commenting on this guy, just trying to help people see, look, this is who he is, this is how he's duping you, this is what you need to stand up against. Don't give him the benefit of the doubt, don't give him the credit. But in this particular case, it wasn't good enough. I actually did, for once, had to actually take a personal swipe, and it wasn't just a personal swipe just to be personal swiping at him, but it was just to call him out on his hypocrisy, how I typically do. And this one again goes back to his whole dark skin or victimology, how light-skinned blacks are just the evil devil, and how they don't have any right to support black issues, or if they're mixed races, or if they're biracial and everything. And despite the fact that they might have a black parent and everything, that doesn't give them a right to have any say in the black community or the issues concerning the black Americans and all this other stuff. Well, you know, gee, if that were the case, then I guess South Africa is a major failure then. But I'm sorry, I'm digressing, but I just kind of had to call Tammy out on this little tirade, his little colorism tirade again. Again, like I said, keep in mind that this is the same man who, or same woman, depending on your viewpoint, because he loves singing that song "I'm Every Woman" and dancing around and prancing around like he's gay fabulous. So I don't know what he is. He loves transsexuals, that much we know. So, you know, the guy's got an identity crisis. And again, I'm sorry, let me watch my volume again. But I went and I made this one comment on him, and I just said, look, you know, you're being just a lot of bit hypocritical. Not a little bit, a lot of bit. And it's just over the same stuff and the same stuff. You're a failed comedian. You can't get a job in radio, so you pretend that you're a radio announcer. And you have these so-called interviews with somebody like TD Snakes, and you call that, hey, I had an interview with all these celebrities. TD Snakes is a nobody just like you are. Who are you trying to fool? But anyway, I just had to go into that and just point this stuff out to him. And her response to me was, why do you continue to stalk me? I don't watch your shit. Well, you don't have to watch my shit. I don't care if you don't watch my shit. I'm glad you don't watch my shit, because it's too much logic and truth, and it'll make your head explode. So don't even waste your time, because I know you love wallowing in ignorance. But this idea that I'm stalking you, dude, nobody has to stalk you. You keep throwing yourself out there like a total ratchet whore, with multiple channels and multiple web page links and multiple Facebook accounts and multiple Twitter accounts, and then you go around starting beef with people, and then you just keep putting on this whole victim complex, and you keep whipping the masses up into making it seem like everybody's out to get you. Nobody needs to stalk you. You keep setting yourself up for all this negative attention, especially when you go after somebody in the worst possible way, attacking somebody's innocent little child, and then you go around calling somebody else a child molester, or do you go around calling somebody else, you know, I don't have to keep reiterating all this stuff, all these made-up fantasies that you just keep going through. I want to come out and say that you're totally mentally disturbed, but I don't think so. I mean, I know you've got some problems, but I think this is really who you are, and this is probably why you don't have a friend in the world. And I'm going to tell you straight up, I feel terribly sorry for your child. I do. You want to talk about somebody's kid? Well, guess what? Two can play at that game, and that beautiful little girl of yours, I don't know what the arrangement is that you have with her mother, or I just hope and pray that you are not her primary caregiver. Let's just maybe put it that way, because you will damage that child for life. I'm convinced of it, because you just have that poison about you, and you just have that instability about you. I wouldn't trust you around anybody's child. So anyway, I've rounded this thing up to where I've gone ahead and eaten up all this time, and I really just kind of like missed the main point, which is just to kind of like throw it back in your face. It's like, look, I don't need to stalk you. All I need to do is just watch and listen to how you attack everybody and anybody else who's more important and who has more substance than you do. Not to mention more viewership and more of an audience and more positive feedback, which is what makes you so damn jealous. I know that's why you do this. So, words out. We know who you are. We know what you're about. So, just in case anybody's gets this whole idea that people are stalking Tammy such a gay whore, let it be known. Ain't nobody stalking Mr. I'm Every Woman. Because we don't need to. Not when he lays his butt-ass naked ass out there with his cheeks spread wide open for the whole damned world to see.